A bunch of winter storms are coming to the United States over the next couple of weeks, and we are expecting a ton of snow and ice in areas like the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, and also back into the Midwest, where we could see several inches of snowfall and even in some cases, feet of snowfall. In addition to that, the return of severe weather is a possibility next week as multiple storm systems will be moving across the United States, which could bring the return of tornadoes. And lastly, we are expecting a large Arctic blast next week, which will drift some of the winter storm potential further down to the south. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next couple of weeks. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And we just got done with multiple tornadoes that happened last night back over in Tennessee and Kentucky. And what is left of that is now over in the Mid-Atlantic with some passing showers, and eventually that's going to move offshore later today. This is actually some of the remnants from the winter storm we just had that went through the Northeast yesterday. So a little bit of a surprise tornado threat that happened yesterday back over in Tennessee. So far, at least 2 tornadoes have been confirmed from that event. We'll have more details posted on our Twitter and Facebook pages, which are linked down in the description below as more updates come out. For the remainder of the country, though, things are relatively quiet. The Great Plains are pretty quiet right now. The Southeast is also quiet. The only thing that we're really watching for is a little band of moisture that is moving over the Rockies, and this will eventually build into a winter storm as we go into tomorrow and Sunday, which is going to dump a ton of snow from the Midwest all the way back through the Ohio Valley and into the Northeast. Now let's talk more about these winter storms that'll be coming to the United States over the next couple of weeks, as we are expecting a very active weather pattern. We'll begin with what's happening as we go into tomorrow morning. We got some snow, rain, and freezing rain that'll start to mix in by around lunchtime tomorrow. In the Midwest and also across Michigan, it'll be mostly light to moderate snow initially, but we do expect some heavier snowfall to ramp up as we go later into Saturday afternoon, especially back through Michigan and extreme northern Ohio, while freezing rain and sleet will be falling from northern Ohio and Indiana back through areas like Maryland and southwest Pennsylvania and also into Delaware. Eventually, as we go into the overnight hours Saturday into early Sunday morning, we're going to have heavy snow falling across most of the Northeast. Many areas will pick up as much as 8 to 14 inches of snowfall out of this winter storm. And then eventually, as we go into the sunrise hours on Sunday, most of the snow is in New England, and it will eventually move offshore as we go into late Sunday with only some very light snowfall remaining. Now, that's not it for snow. We got more snow coming as we go into Monday. We are expecting a large area of moisture to develop with a strong southerly wind from the Gulf and cold air coming out of Canada, and this is all going to clash and make a large area of precipitation as we go into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We think Monday is going to be mostly snow across areas like the Central Plains and the lower Midwest. Here's the thing, though. It's going to be mostly light snow. We're not expecting a full-blown winter storm on Monday, but as we go into Tuesday, this may develop into more of a winter storm further to the east, back over in the Mid-Atlantic region where heavy snow and freezing rain will be possible, back over in North Carolina and also back into Virginia and Maryland. And then eventually, as we go into Wednesday, that moves offshore. And then by Thursday into Friday, this is where some of the forecast uncertainty begins to grow. However, we do think there will be another winter storm sometime on Thursday across areas like the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and again in the Northeast, where we are expecting, again, a ton of snowfall over the next week or two. Eventually, as we go into late Thursday into early Friday, we are likely going to have a severe weather aspect to this back over in the Dixie Alley, perhaps a couple of tornadoes, damaging winds, all that sort of stuff definitely in play as we go into Thursday of next week. Heavy snowfall back over in the Northeast appears more likely than not right now, Thursday night into Friday morning. And then after this, it will probably quiet down for about 24 to 36 hours before we have yet again another huge winter storm sometime by the later half of next weekend, if not into early next week. But exactly where this winter storm happens is very uncertain. The models have been as far west as the Midwest. They've been as far east as offshore and not even impacting New England. So we don't exactly know where this is going to set up, but confidence is growing that we're going to have another winter storm next weekend, which would only add to the snowfall accumulation that we're expecting throughout the next 7 days. Now, in terms of total snowfall accumulation out of the winter storm that's happening tomorrow and Sunday, we are expecting a widespread area, especially in the purple, to see between 5 to 10 inches of snow. So if you're back in Minneapolis, western Wisconsin, and even back over near Milwaukee, good chance that you're going to at least see around 5 to 7 inches of snow, with some spots a little bit higher than that as well. But a very large area here will be dealing with at least 1 to 4 inches of snow. Back into parts of northern and northwestern Michigan, I do think these totals will be a little bit higher, probably in the ballpark of 3 to 7 inches of snow. And then back over in southern Michigan, northern Ohio, and northern Indiana, it's mostly going to be a wintry mix of both snow and freezing rain, which will keep some some of the snowfall accumulation numbers a bit lower. But I do think areas like Detroit and even back over here into southern Michigan, I think these numbers will also be a little bit higher than what it's showing here. I wouldn't be surprised with some areas around 3 to 6 inches of snow here as well. And in terms of snowfall accumulation in the Northeast, we are forecasting a significant amount of snowfall, especially across upstate New York as well as eastern New York, the higher elevations of western Massachusetts, Vermont, and northwest Connecticut, where many areas will pick up as much as 8 to 12 inches of snow. An isolated area or two could have as much as 14 to 16 inches of snowfall. And just away from the coastline of New England, I do expect many areas to pick up around 5 to 8 inches of snowfall, and then a much more modest 1 to 3 inches of snow for most of Maine, and as well as far northern Vermont and more than likely far northern New Hampshire. But more than anything, the most significant amount of snowfall will likely end up being in this region. I do think, though, again, 8 to 12 inches is more likely than not in this area. We could see that shift a little bit further east over the next couple of days here, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified with the latest updates. We'll have another video tomorrow morning talking all about this with the latest information if there are any big changes to the forecast. Now, for the rest of the United States, a lot of the winter storms that are coming up beyond this weekend are next week, and there is some uncertainty about exactly how much snow we're going to see. But here's a broad overview through about next Saturday in terms of how much snow we may end up seeing. It looks like the most significant snow events that we're going to be seeing are in the Northeast, mainly New England, also back through the upper Midwest. Another area that we're watching for during the early to middle portion of next week is the Mid-Atlantic. And I think the Mid-Atlantic is actually going to have more shots of snow even beyond the middle of next week, which could stack up even more snowfall in those areas. And then back over in the Central Plains, we are mainly watching this area as well, but this will be basically all week long that we're watching that region. I think the majority of any snowfall would be during the early to middle portion of next week. Now, keep in mind that the snowfall accumulation numbers that you're seeing here are right around like 8 to 12 inches of snow. I'm not saying we're going to see that much. It's too early to tell exactly how much snow is going to come out of those winter storms during next week. But again, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and we'll keep you posted with the latest on any sort of new details that come out as we get closer to these winter storms. And here are the probabilities of seeing at least 1 inch of snowfall through next Thursday. Again, this is over the next 6 days. This is when we can kind of predict a little bit more about where we are expecting snowfall. And really the main locations that we think there's going to be snow, again, will be areas like the Central Plains, the Midwest, back into the northern Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic region, and the Northeast. If you're anywhere further south of this line, there's a very low chance that you're going to see snow anytime over the next 5 or 6 days. Could you see snow maybe on Friday or Saturday? Sure, but the chances right now are low, and even then the confidence is just not high enough to really display that far out. And lastly, we are expecting another Arctic blast as we go into this work week. We are expecting our first shot of really cold air to impact the northern plains in the upper Midwest right around late Monday and into early Tuesday. And again, this is all going to set up that battleground for really a mix of both rain, some severe weather, and even the potential for some snow across areas like the central and southern plains back into the Ohio Valley and through the Northeast. Severe weather will definitely be an increasing chance because of the temperatures being much warmer down there. If we get any sort of storm systems that form down here in the southern plains and track in this sort of direction towards the Mid-Atlantic, I think severe weather is definitely going to be an elevated threat as we go into the later half of next week. But again, too early to tell exactly what's going to happen there. By around Thursday and into Friday, cold air continues to filter through the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. And then by next weekend, we could have another shot of really cold air, especially in the Ohio Valley, East Coast, as we go into late Sunday and into early Monday. But it's going to depend on where that next winter storm forms. And the one we're talking about is the one that's going to be probably happening late next weekend. Again, there could be some changes to the forecast. Let's hope this doesn't happen. But if it does, we could have another really big dip in the temperatures. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below. And if you've not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel.